It is a beautiful summer's day here in our nation's capital. We're about 5 miles from the White House. You'll find RFK Stadium, former home to Washington's Major League Baseball and NFL teams, but today it's home to Volkswagen Rallycross DC. Hi everyone, I'm Tess Sewell along with Indianapolis 500 racer Townsend Bell, and we're here for round number 3 of Red Bull Global Rallycross, and we have some unbelievable racing in store for you here today. We start off with heat races, 2 heats where the top 3 racers will go straight through to the final. Then the last chance qualifier where there are 4 valuable spots left for our 10-man final. It is going to be absolutely electric out here in DC, but Townsend, what everyone's been talking about here this weekend is this purpose-built GRC track.
Yes, the course here is really fast. It's technical. It has a lot of challenges. It starts straight off the line with a really high-speed launch from the grid into a very quick turn 1 and 2 chicane. And then there's this really tricky brake zone for turn 3. There's a short gravel crossing, and it's really hard to balance the limit of the tires as you get into that hairpin. Then you're back onto the gravel, where the penalty box just starts there. Just before that is the gravel entrance to turn 4 and 5, and then you're up over the jump, and then off the gravel back onto the tarmac to what is the slowest section of this course, which is turn 8 and 9. Now you get over to turn 10, and this is where the Joker sits. Remember, you can only use it once per race, and if you're close enough, within about 2 car lengths, you can make pass via the Joker. Now, speaking of Jokers, let's check out a closer view with Bucky Lasek in this week GoPro Course Preview.
Hey, what are you doing? Heary, Bucky Lasek here for the Washington, D.C. GRC GoPro Course Preview. It is on like Donkey Kong. Entering turn 1 at a very high speed, 5th gear, flat out. Turn 2, touch the curb and go across the dirt. Very important on the braking zone here to get very inside. Carry momentum into turn 4. Very important part in the gravel to straight shoot this as much as possible. 4th gear, brake check over the jump so you don't over jump. Downshift, hug the chicane, hairpin, handbrake turn helps. Try to get as much momentum. Coming into turn 10, final left turn. Powered down. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your GoPro Course Preview.
And Bucky Lasek having a great time there, showing us around this course. Let's take a look at the Red Bull Global Rallycross standing. Scott Speed, unbelievable, won the last 2 outings.
Yeah, he's been awesome, but going down through that list, look at guys like Ken Block and Tanner Faust that aren't even in the top 10. Big names in GRC with an awful start to the season. They're going to be pushing hard to get to the front today.
And as we know, anything can happen here in GRC. This was Scott Speed's day yesterday. Instead of in our early rounds of racing, the guys are trying to fix his car.
And that Andretti Autosport team comes from an IndyCar background. Over there, you need a new motor, you just raise your hand, your engine supplier just brings another one. This is a little bit different, a lot more work involved, and only 1 spare motor on the team, we're told, so they've got to make it count today.
And that, of course, means that it's going to be a tough day for Scott Speed. Here we go, our first heat, Heat A of Volkswagen Rallycross DC, Townsend.
And look at Ken Block up front there, but Nelson Piquet Jr., a guy that I'm watching, he's looked exceptionally fast yesterday in our provisional rounds and really, really clean and tidy around this course. Further back, we've got to keep an eye on Scott Speed. Didn't even make any of the qualifying races yesterday. He's had very little track time, but he's the fastest guy so far this season.
And we've seen on this track, it is tough to find a place to pass, so Scott Speed's going to have to work his way through a lot of traffic. You see the onboard view here from Speed's car, and he's going to have to try and get past 3 of the best races we have out here.
Well, there's really only one way to work your way through traffic, and that's with force, unless it's on that Joker lap. So Scott's going to have to make a really sort of educated decision about how much contact, how much bumper do I give a car in front of me. Otherwise, really, really hard to get by.
So you can see the 30-second board is being held up right now. That will go down to 10 seconds, and then we will have our sequence of lights. First, there will be 5 red lights. When the lights switch to green, we are racing here in the nation's capital. Here we go, 10 seconds to racing.
Oh, Johnny Weeman absolutely jumped the start according to what I'm seeing. They could easily call that into the penalty box. We'll have to wait and see. Nelson Piquet Jr., look at Scott Speed, what a start, into 3rd already.
How on earth did Speed that? We were looking at Weeman's jump off the line there, and Scott Speed already has himself through to third position, tucked in behind the yellow and black car of Nelson Piquet Jr.
Johnny Weeman had a really tough round in the last race in Austin for being too aggressive, and surely looked too aggressive there as both 1 and 2 take the joker lap. Scott Speed stays out. He still has a joker in the bag.
Interestingly there, Piquet took the joker. He would have seen that Johnny Weeman jumped on that start, so he knows he needs to get as much distance between himself and Scott Speed as possible.
Johnny Weeman into the penalty box. He's going to come out, it looks like, in P3. So right now, Nelson Piquet Jr. is your leader. Scott Speed up to second.
So Nelson Piquet Jr., Johnny Weeman already taken the joker. Scott Speed has not. Now what you need to watch is the green car, who is going to try and draw up as close as he can to that leader, and then he will slingshot through on the joker when he feels he really can get by.
We know it's possible to make that pass as we're on board here with Reese Millen, but you've got to be close enough, as you said, about 2 car lengths. Now, Scott Speed, very limited track time. Nelson Piquet Jr., not only is he running supercars this weekend, also in the lights category, so he has the maximum amount of track time. He knows this course inside and out.
So the important thing here in our heat races, the top 3 will transfer through. What that means is we have Austin Dine sitting in 4th position right now. He needs to catch up to Johnny Weeman as fast as he can.
And interesting that penalty box is so short and really a very limited penalty that in this case right now, as Johnny Weeman sits, it's really going to be no harm, no foul. He might have a grid penalty in terms of where he starts the next round, but there's Austin Dine with an issue.
Oh, Dine off the track with a problem there, so he will definitely not transfer. That means Ken Block right now should be sitting in that 4th position, and there he is. He needs to chase down that Red Bull car in front of him of Johnny Weeman.
And right now, that gap with Scott Speed to Piquet Jr., I don't think is close enough. But Speed's going to have to take the joker. There's only a lap and a half left to go.
And the important thing is here, you're racing for position on the grid when we get to the final if you're in the top 3. And Weeman looks like he's catching up to Scott Speed.
He is catching him, but remember, Speed's got the joker in the bag as we come to the white flag lap here. So Weeman's going to have to make a move, and Speed stays out, doesn't take that joker. He wants to continue to work the gap, but Piquet Jr., he's opening that gap. He's walking away. Look at Weeman come through the chicane.
Scott Speed in the green, Johnny Weeman in the blue Red Bull car. As they come through now, this will be Scott Speed's turn to take that joker, which shaves off those valuable seconds, but Weeman's all over the back of Speed.
He's right there, but he cannot risk contact here. He has to transfer to that final event. So there's our winner, Nelson Piquet Jr. coming to the line. Scott Speed takes the joker and finishes second. And look at Ken Block.
Wow, Block making that last-ditch effort to try and get the 3rd position. It's not enough. Block is going to go through to our last chance qualifier, so he's going to have to fight again to try and get himself into the final.
It's gonna be aggressive, desperate driving from Ken Block to get in that main. It's a tough start to the season, as we said. Not any easier today.
Nelson Piquet takes the first win at Red Bull Global Rallycross here from DC. Join us for the 2nd heat when we come back. Round 3 of Red Bull Global Rallycross is brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance oil that outperforms. And by GoPro, the world's most versatile camera. Already an amazing race in the book, which means we have our first drivers transferred directly through to the final. Piquet Jr., Scott Speed, and Johnny Weeman, even with the penalty, he manages to get himself into that final pretty convincingly. Well, we've seen some guys have already transferred in there. Now let's check in with the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Kristen Kenny.
We are here with Scott Speed. Scott, you were able to come from behind, come from that back row. How did you make that happen out there?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we had a great start. Unfortunately, I think we had some for PK, but the start, Ken kind of turned into us and kind of broke our right front a little bit. So at least we have speed. I think we get this thing fixed up, we'll have a shot in the main. It was great for us. Obviously, we had a really tough weekend, and to be able to come up, we definitely in the main. We'll have a decent starting position, I guess, starting 2nd, but we'll see. At least we're fast.
Definitely fast, and definitely fighting through adversity out here to make it into that final.
Thanks, Kristen. And the Andretti guys, they've had their work cut out for them here this weekend. Heat B on the line.
And we understand there's some water on the grid, so the guys are moved back one row to launch off of dry tarmac. But we see on the inside Patrick Sandell, in the middle Bucky Lasek, and Tanner Faust. I mean, talk about a guy that needs some luck today. He is dead last in points out of the full-time runners, and he starts dead last in this heat.
And very interesting, the fact that Scott Speed was in exactly that position, managed to thread his way through traffic early in the middle of the grid there. Emma Gilmore, our female driver from New Zealand, racing for that Millen team. And on board here with Sverre Isaksson, and I love watching this guy race.
He's known for fireworks, and certainly the first 2 rounds we saw plenty of that. But I feel like this is a turning point for Sverre. He's really kind of tightened things up. He's calmed down the driving in the provisional rounds yesterday, and it's going to be interesting to see. He's got to be in that top 3 to transfer. How much of the front end of the Subaru is he going to use to get through?
So we see the lights coming on. 5 lights. It will go dark, and the green lights. And here we go. Who got the best jump?
Oh, this could be our first contested first corner. Whoa! Unbelievable. Everybody makes through. It appears unscathed. You see Steve Arpin up there into second, but back in your transfer spot is Sverre Isaksson on his teammate Bucky Lasek to get through to that final.
And we talked about that turn 1 and 2 and expecting a little bit of kind of squeezing, and you saw the red tires get tagged there. But so far, everybody's still running. Sandell in a convincing lead.
And I'm surprised to see Tanner Faust did not take the Joker on that lap. He's right behind Isaksson. He could have made the pass in that Joker. He opted to stay out. He's got to get to the top 3 here to transfer. And he's working on one of the more aggressive drivers, perhaps the most aggressive, in Isaksson. Now, Isaksson's got his teammate in front of him. If you're going to use some discretion, you got to think it's going to be with your own Subaru teammate. But right now, Bucky Lasek has got a nice gap, and he's working on the guy in front of him.
Absolutely impressed this year with Bucky Lasek's racing. He really has come a long way. But look at Tanner Faust all over the back of Sverre Isaksson's Subaru.
And again, I'm surprised that Tanner didn't just take the Joker. That would be an easy pass. He's going to the outside of turn 3, looking for the crossover. But there is no grip to the outside of 3. Tanner loses time in that corner.
Tanner Faust working so hard now.
Up across the top of your screen, just as a reminder, you're going to see that Joker graphic in gray. When those guys take the Joker, that graphic's going to turn color. Sandell should be colored because he took that on the first lap, but you'll see that turn to yellow when those guys take the Joker. Back on track here, Steve Arpin working on Sandell for the lead in this heat race, but further back, it's all about Bucky Lasek and Isaksson going for that transfer spot. Here they come over the jump, and it is close. Isaksson has closed the gap to his teammate.
Wow, there are no team orders here. Sverre Isaksson wants to get through. Here, you see the move from Arpin.
And he'll take the lead there, and there goes Isaksson. This could be really close. Isaksson overdrives it.
Patrick Sandell doesn't want to let Steve Arpin get away with this door-to-door contact coming into the dirt.
2 Ford Fiestas going at it. One the OMSE 2 team, one the OSC primary team, and right now the 2 team is leading with Arpin.
So Canadian Steve Arpin leads us up to the white flag. There will be 1 lap to go in our second heat. Sandell going wide.
And Sandell just gave us a great example. You push those Yokohama tires a little too much. Big slide to the outside. And here further back, what a great battle. Here's Tanner
going on the inside.
Great position on the inside. He should get a great exit now because he has the traction. He's got to get to Isaksson.
What an unbelievable pass there from Tanner Faust. The question is, does he have enough time? It is running out as we close out this lap. Meanwhile, Steve Arpin goes through to take the checkered flag. Who will take the 3rd place transfer spot? Looks like it's going to be Sverre Isaksson.
Smooth sailing. Tanner 4th has to go through the LCQ to make it to the main. Another difficult day. There's Bucky to the outside. Emma Gilmore getting by. Not sure if, he has an issue. It looks like he's got a right front issue to his Subaru, and that Royal Purple Ford takes the win. Great run for Steve Arpin. He's currently 3rd in points, having a fantastic season.
Well, the Canadian's got to be happy he gets to sit and rest for a while, but check out this start.
What an awesome start. Perfectly even, 3 wide. Arpin forces his way through. Isaacson gets into the tires. And Lasik was the unfortunate loser in that situation. Got squeezed, had to back out of it, got wide, and then ended up in a battle with his teammate.
And that onboard there was fair. I mean, he practically drove right over the middle of those tires, so lucky to end up in the position he did.
Wow, he wasn't even close to making that. It's almost like he used it as a target.
Phenomenal, though, that the Subaru could continue for that entire race.
Yeah, keep in mind, he probably couldn't see those as the guys came out of the way, but this is going to be great going to the LCQ.
So Heat B in the books. We got the last chance qualifier coming up from Red Bull Global Rallycross. Welcome back, everyone, to Red Bull Global Rallycross, the Volkswagen Rallycross DC, here right outside of RFK Stadium in the nation's capital. Already seen some great racing on tap here. Today, a Women's US Open champion will be crowned at Pinehurst. Final round coverage of the US Women's Open is coming up next here on NBC. Well, Townsend, this grid already filling up. 6 racers are already set there for the 10 that will race the final.
Yeah, no real surprises in terms of who's already in the final. These are most of your quickest guys so far this weekend. I guess the surprise would be who's not in there, with Ken Block and Tanner Faust having to progress through the LCQ coming up.
And in that Heat B, Steve Arpin managed to take the victory over Patrick Sandell. And Steve Arpin now is down with our very own Kristen Kenny.
Steve, amazing passing out there. Take us through that strategy, setting up Sandell to pass him on that turn to give you the lead.
Well, the strategy, at the start, there is no strategy because anything can happen. And honestly, I just closed my eyes because I thought I was going to die in that first corner. But we made it out. Sandell luckily took the Joker early. We saved ours for the end. And this Royal Purple Ford is so good this weekend. It's such a pleasure to drive. And we just saved it for the end, tried to close in on him until the time was right, and got him. So it's going to give us a good starting spot for the feature tonight for the A-Main. I just feel bad for the Volkswagen guys. All the motor problems yesterday. I got a little Royal Purple care package together to bring them down there so that we make sure they get good fluids in their motor so that doesn't happen again.
Steve, heading into the final, how important is that front row start?
It's everything. The competition here in the Red Bull GRC this year is so stiff. Like, it's crazy. Everyone can win. Like, probably 10 out of the 12 cars here can win, and 10 are going to be in the main. So a good track position right off the bat. These cars are all so close. They're just going to be so important to get through that first sequence of corners good. And honestly, just the Joker is such a weird strategy this week. It's going to be interesting. No one's going to know till the last lap.
All right, back to you, Townsend and Tess.
Thanks, Kristen. Interesting, the talk of strategy there coming out of Arpin. Look at this. The remaining schedule here for Red Bull Global Rallycross is round number 3. Number 4, New York City. And you'll be able to watch that July 20th. And we go all the way through to our final round in Sin City, Las Vegas, November.
What happens in Vegas will stay in Vegas.
Unless having himself a great time in the nation's capital. Saturday, the Dew Tour is back. NBC Sports brings you the top names in skateboarding and BMX. Coverage of the Dew Tour Beach Championships begins Saturday, 1 Eastern on NBC and continues Saturday night on NBCSN. Breaking news here from Red Bull Global Rallycross HQ. The first heat stop-and-go penalty of Johnny Weeman has resulted in something special.
Yeah, so Johnny Weeman's penalty, technically by the rules, he's supposed to have a stop and go until the line of cars goes through. They released him immediately. As such, Ken Block did not transfer, would have had Johnny Weeman been held long enough. So what's going to happen is Ken Block's going to transfer to your final, so there'll be 11 cars in the final, which means of the 4 cars that transfer out of LCQ, only 1 will not make it.
So 1 of those 5 is going home. That front row, Tanner Faust, we saw him put that incredible pass on turn 3, which we've been talking about. Bucky Lasik, though, sitting in the back, is going to have to work hard to get through traffic. And then Austin Dine had a lot of troubles there.
Differential failure in the heat race, didn't finish. They got it fixed amazingly. That is a big component of a race car to fix. You got to take all of the front axles off, replace the differential. So he's back out there with no sense of whether or not the problem's really been addressed.
And as a racer that has to play on your mind, wondering if it's going to happen again.
Well, this has a great way of declaring focus. These starts in GRC are unbelievable.
On board there with Reese Millen, who you saw having all that fun just cruising around the Capitol in his rally car the other day.
And they really have not been on the pace so far this weekend. Both Reese Millen and his Hyundai teammate Emma Gilmore have not been on pace, so they need a good run here, a great start to transfer.
10 seconds to our start. Remember, the red lights come on, they go out, but you do not start till the green lights come on.
No, Emma Gilmore a little late off the line. Austin Dine 3 wide up the middle and the back. They're side by side up front.
Well, made it through turns 1 and 2 there safely. Tanner Fausto jumps out front. Reese Millen tucked in behind, and then the orange and gray Subaru, Bucky Lassick.
That's the kind of start that Tanner Faust needed to make the main event, get out front in clean air. And this is going to be the battle here. You've got Austin Dine in the Barracuda car and Emma Gilmore in the Velociter, in the Hyundai there at the back. The first two take the Joker. Lassick stays on the normal course. And Emma takes the Joker as well. Almost looked like her door was coming open on that Hyundai.
Ah, so remember, 4 will transfer through to the final, which means right now, Emma Gilmore, yeah, the door is actually opening on that Hyundai Veloster.
She's got an unhappy passenger in the back, and here she wants to get out.
So Gilmore trying to work on the Barracuda machine of Austin Dine. So far, Dine's car hanging on in there.
And Austin Dine, he really's been complaining about understeers. We see Lassick try to take the Joker, but he over-rotates there, doesn't get the pass done.
So Bucky Lassick, not enough speed. Reese Millen just screaming past. On board, though, with Austin Dine. And really, the guys have worked incredibly hard to get this car back to the start.
They've done a great job, and I was going to say that Austin was complaining about lots of understeer in his car. When I watched through these final 2 corners, it seems like they've made the adjustments where he's getting good rotation, especially at the apex here. Nice rotation. He's starting to catch the leaders. And keep in mind, across the top of your screen, you can see the Joker graphics illuminated. Austin Dine, the only driver that has it. This is the last lap. You'll see him take that Joker lap at the finish. Now, he's in a transfer spot, so he just has to nurse this home.
So this is the final lap. Tanner Faust in a very clean lead, but Bucky Lassick is trying to find his way around Reese Millen. Austin Dine in that 4th place transfer spot.
And he's got the Joker to go, and he is right behind Lassick. Let's see if Dine can make the pass. Here he goes.
Austin Dine tucking underneath. Will it be enough?
Yes.
Takes 3rd from Bucky Lassick at the very last second.
Now, he was transferring in already, but that's an important grid position advantage for Austin Dine to make up that spot in the end. Nice move.
That was great. Patiently waited, took the Joker right at the very end. See it blinking there. It's like, wow,
I think
that was a race.
I think I see a hint of a smile in there. That was a tough situation to not have the heat race work out, but nicely played there.
And a great win there in the LCQ for Tanner Faust. As we said, he's had a tough start to the season, been struggling, but not in that LCQ.
And here's Austin Dine. Now, really important, we saw earlier when Lassick had too much of a drift, but Dine just nails it perfectly, beats Lassick to the line there on the Joker in the final corner.
So Austin Dine will be joining us in our Red Bull Global Rallycross final. Be sure to join us. Volkswagen Rallycross DC continues when we return. Be sure to see our next stop, New York, where the high-speed, action-packed racing of the Red Bull Global Rallycross season continues July 20th here on NBC. Well, fantastic race there for our last chance qualifier. Tanner Faust managed to take the win, and he is down with Kristen Kenny.
Tanner, it has been a bit of a tough season for you, but today you made it to the first final of the season. That's got to be feeling good right now.
Well, it's been a tough weekend also. You know, last night the Andretti guys replaced 2 engines and a transmission. They were up here till 2:30 in the morning. We started today virtually dead last between Scott and I, so this is a big comeback fight. And just finishing the LCQ, winning that is the next step to having a good weekend. So it's going to be a big fight. We're going to push really hard in this next final. And oh my God, is it going to be a battle.
Well, we look forward to seeing that battle in the final. Tanner Faust, we'll see you out there. Townsend, Tess.
Just watching Tanner Faust there, goes over to having a discussion with Michael Andretti. Always great to have a driver as a team owner. You can see him really intent on understanding the dynamics that Tanner's dealing with. Talking about wheel spin, he told me earlier, tough coming off the corner with his Volkswagen. They've been making adjustments to get the power down a little better.
So we're set now for Supercar, but let's check out our lights final. 300 horsepower, slightly smaller cars than the Supercars, but just as much action.
Yeah, watching Mitchell de Jong, 16 years old, side by side with Kevin Eriksson, 17 years old. These guys going for it. De Jong gets the point going into turn 3, and then watch Nelson Piquet Jr. How often do you get a chance as a 17-year-old to have a Formula One driver banging on your rear bumper?
And awesome, Piquet giving that little bit of a nudge. De Jong, though, manages to get out in that clear air, but a great fight brewing there between Eriksson and Nelson Piquet Jr. As you see, De Jong ducks under and takes the Joker, as does Piquet to take second place.
Then later on, Austin Cindric up inside of Alejo Fernandez, makes the move, brilliant pass, and just gets a little nudge there heading into the chicane before the jump. That was the pass for fifth.
So here you see again Mitchell de Jong still nice and clean out front, but check out behind him, that battle is coming through. So de Jong was feeling good. Nelson Piquet Jr., though, he had some pressure.
He certainly did. Kevin Eriksson, he's got the Joker left, and he takes it, and he is so tidy there at the apex, easily makes the pass for second.
So Mitchell de Jong, 16 years old, with the car smoking, comes through to take the checkered flag.
Awesome run for these guys. De Jong had a radiator failure in the heat race. They got it fixed, and he barely hung on for the win.
So a great win there for the smoking vehicle of Mitchell de Jong, and gotta say, won 2 in a row now. He is looking good. Take a look at the results there. De Jong, the 16-year-old, over Eriksson, the 17-year-old.
I love all these teenagers. Again, you've got Nelson Piquet Jr., a supercars driver, former F1 driver, mixing it up with the young guns. Great run for Attila Abreu to finish 4th, and Austin Cindric coming home 5th.
Let's go down to hear from the winner.
Mitchell, congratulations. You remain unbeaten this season. You won in Austin. You did it here in D.C. What does it mean this time around?
Oh, it's great. Before the final, we had so many issues with the engine not starting and changing the radiator. It's just last minute trying to get it together. And, luckily it stayed together. And right after the finish line, it started puking oil or something. So it was just barely hung on. But I'm glad with the way it came.
Well, you definitely hung on there for a fantastic finish. When can we see you in the supercars?
I'd love to be as soon as possible. So hopefully next year. That'd be nice.
Mitchell de Jong, your champion here in Washington, D.C. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at our light series points. Mitchell de Jong is 2 for 2. He won Austin, he won here in D.C. But looking down that list, Kevin Eriksson looked great today. He is going to give Mitchell de Jong a run for his money. Always fun, though, to see Nelson Piquet Jr. mixing it up with the young ones. Red Bull Global Rallycross Lights, will see more of them in New York. Well, coming up next, 600 horsepower, four-wheel drive beasts. We're talking about the Red Bull Global Rallycross Supercars. We are ready to go racing. They are on the grid. You do not want to miss a single second.
To Red Bull Global Rallycross here in our nation's capital. The final is just about to get underway. But first, we are here with one of America's most influential names in motorsports, Michael Andretti. Now, Michael, an awesome start to this series. Your first time Volkswagen Andretti Autosport is participating in GRC. What attracted you to the series?
I think the whole format, the excitement, You know, it's going after the young fan, which is what we're all after. And, you know, it's just a great atmosphere. And it's fun racing. I mean, it's just great. I mean, these cars are amazing. The performance that they get out of them, out of such a small engine, they put out 600 horsepower is amazing. So it's just really a cool series.
Well, it's got to be fun for you as well to see the success you've had already early on with Scott Speed winning 2 of those first races and doing well out here today. You really burst onto the scene early on. What were your expectations, though, heading into this season?
Well, we were talking with Jos Capito from Volkswagen. We said our goal was to go out and win the first race, and it was awesome to be able to go out and do it. And Scott did a tremendous job in the 7-Up car. I mean, he was just in a class of his own there. And then to follow it up with a gold medal at the X Games was awesome. So, you know, we just got to keep it going. You know, we got a lot of hard work here this weekend. We've had some troubles, but seems like we're back on. And, you know, we had second in one heat, and, you know, Tanner won his heat there in the end to get in the final. So I think we have 2 good cars. And
big news, the Volkswagen Beetle is unveiling. It unveiled today. Tell us about that.
We're so excited to get the Beetle out. You know, that's the whole reason why Volkswagen's in it. And, you know, we can't wait to get the car. You know, I think it's going to be a couple more races yet, but we feel that it's going to be a huge advantage when we do get it. So we're chomping at the bit, and we're begging them to give it to us, you know. So I think they've done a great job. They've really manned up the Beetle. I mean, that thing is a brute, and I think it's gonna win a lot of races.
Well, Michael, we're looking forward to seeing that Beetle. All right, Townsend and Tess, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Kristen. Well, look at this. Supercars on the line. Our royal purple starting grid for the final here, Volkswagen Rallycross DC.
3 Fords across the front row. You've got Nelson Piquet Jr. super quick, along with Steve Arpin, both up there in points right now. Second and third, those guys are. And then back to row 2, Scott Speed making a comeback this weekend after a rough start, like Kristen mentioned. Johnny Wieman, the fastest guy in the heat race so far, and you can't count out the Viking there, Sverre Isaksson.
Well, because of Johnny Wieman and that penalty we saw, Ken Block got the automatic transfer through into the finals. Interesting result, we now have 11 cars instead of 10. Next to Block, the yellow and black, that's Tanner Faust. And Tanner is, I mean, really needs to get a good result here.
He does, and it's going to come on the start, because if he doesn't get a good start, he's going to have to shoehorn his way through a very tight track. On the back row, you've got Bucky Lesick and Austin Dine.
Lesick from the Baltimore area, and I think would really love to get a win on something you could perhaps call home turf.
And this guy's known for some good starts. That Barracuda car with Austin Dine could surprise some people here off the line. But look at all those cars. 11 cars for your supercar final, folks. This is going to get wild.
Oh, so remember, the first 2 turns, 1 and 2, going to get awful crowded. Sverre Isaksson, that blue and white Subaru, is stuck on the inside. Wow, he goes with a jump.
And he jumps the start by a huge chunk. Let's watch what happens through 1 and 2. Pretty clean so far. Look at Tanner Faust, already up to P4. Working Steve Arpin.
Johnny Wieman working the back of Faust, too. Well, I don't know if Sandell will actually have to take the penalty there, because he did apply the brakes, but then did he actually block other guys from coming through?
Apparently, we're hearing he did not cross the line, so no penalty for Isaksson. And there is their top 4, except for Steve Arpin, take the Joker. Reese Millen takes the Joker.
Oh, and Arpin going on the inside there, trying to squeeze his way through, and almost hits that tire stack.
And Johnny Wieman laying down some super fast laps in the heat race all over Tanner Faust, who's got a little bodywork damage on the back of that Volkswagen. On board with Steve Arpin.
And you can see that battle right in front of Arpin, with Johnny Wieman trying to work on the black and yellow Rockstar Volkswagen of Tanner Faust. Wieman is really, he's just looking for a way through. You saw there, Speed took the Joker.
Speed takes the Joker, but Arpin's got the position through the chicane, and he just totally dives to the inside line.
Oh, the dust coming into 3. Oh, does Johnny Wieman have the line now on Faust?
Tanner Faust getting too wide there, a little too much of that drift history. Carried a little too much speed in the apex and just carried it wide, and now Johnny Wieman is on his way to the front.
And the only other person we've seen pass on turn 3 this weekend was Tanner Faust, so tasted his own medicine. Johnny Wieman, though, great piece of racing from him.
Steve Arpin getting a little wide there. We See Johnny Weedman coming up to turn 3. He's really going to clean up the line now and try to lay down the fastest times he can. We've seen all weekend that a big slide, a big car rotation does nothing to help your lap time.
And there we have Patrick Sandell in front of Nelson Piquet Jr. Both of these drivers have really kind of hit all of their marks here in DC this weekend.
They really have. Now, the top 4 guys have all done their Joker lap already. The first guy who hasn't is Steve Arpin. He's really the only one in the top 10 right now, except for Ken Block there, as we see the ticker across the top, and Austin Dine. Those two also have not taken the Joker.
So we have Sweden's Patrick Sandell in the lead over Brazil's Nelson Piquet Jr. And Sandell is managing to hold Piquet off pretty efficiently.
You know, Sandell didn't have the greatest start to the year, but he currently does sit P5 in points for the championship. In that beautiful Cobalt Ford Fiesta. Piquet back there in the Wix car. Big closure there in the brake zone. He really nailed that spot.
Piquet now is trying to draw a little bit closer. And again, very difficult to pass here. We've seen on turn 3 a mistake from the guy in front can allow you to squeeze your way through.
And since Piquet's already taken the Joker, his only option here is just try to apply that pressure. See if he can get the nose of his car to the bumper of Sandell and let him know he's there. It's not going to take much. A little bump and run might be possible.
And they're looking again on the inside, but just not close enough. And also Sandell, absolutely amazing the precision with which he is driving this track.
I really feel like we're seeing a transition in driving style at this point in the GRC season. With Scott Speed winning the first 2, he's easily the tidiest of all the drivers. And all of these guys now, with somebody like Sandell, who comes from a full rally background, we see a lot less sliding out of their driving style. Piquet was raised that way, Formula One background. Sandell's made the adjustments, and it's working today.
Now remember, the lights race also had Nelson Piquet Jr. as a driver, so he's got a little bit of extra time on this track compared to the other supercar guys.
And right now, he has really closed the gap, so I really feel at this point, Piquet is just sizing up Sandell. He's going to pick his point, and when he goes, he's going to have to commit. Loses a little bit there in the last corner, but he really makes it up in the slow, tight corners, like turn 3, which is coming up here.
Oh, you can see the power as they come around that final corner. Going into turn 3, this is the area, I think, that Nelson Piquet Jr. stands the only chance to get by.
Little mistake out of Sandell on the brakes. It's a lap and a half to go, so if Piquet's going to do it, he's going to have to get close here.
So the question here, will Nelson Piquet Jr. be calm and collected and patient, or is he really going to risk it and hang it all out as we come through to the white flag in our final lap?
Well, his team owner, Piquet's team owner, Sully, James Sullivan's told him, I don't care, I want to win, go all out. So he's got full authority from the top of SH Racing to do whatever it takes to win races.
He was taking a look there, but again, he wasn't close enough. Time is running out for Nelson Piquet Jr. A great drive so far for Patrick Sandell.
He's got to get to his bumper right here. Can't do it. Sandell gets a great exit.
He took a look on the inside, but it's not enough. Patrick Sandell is going to be your winner of Volkswagen Rallycross DC.
Pretty awesome drive. Huge pressure from Piquet from behind, but he kept it together. This is Ken Block and Austin Dine to the line. Nose to tail for 8th place, and they're fighting all the way through the field.
And luckily, Austin Dine's machine held together. A lot of work from all of these teams so far this weekend in DC. Absolutely amazed at the work the mechanics can do to keep these cars on track again and again. And Patrick Sandell celebrating here.
Beautiful 4-wheel drive donuts, folks. 600 horsepower, roasted the Yokohama tires. And here comes Piquet, doesn't know where to go.
Well, that was a great drive from the Swede. Someone's got to tell him eventually he has to park that car, so maybe we can talk to him, but big smile under the helmet. Lots of smoke for the fans here in Washington, D.C. Oh, look at this.
Piquet saying, I got a little Brazilian love for you, buddy.
And really, you know, you see these guys, they drive with the precision on those corners. They're not letting the cars drift all over the place.
And Patrick Sandel's been waiting a long time for this moment, worked hard, especially in the offseason. The guy trains in the snow, he's on a bike, he's an ice instructor back at home in the winter, and all those skills coming to bear.
So Patrick Sandel wins the supercar division of Red Bull Rallycross. We'll talk to him when we come back. Round 3 of Red Bull Global Rallycross has been brought to you by Sylvania, HID Attitude, Xenon fueled headlights. By GoPro, the world's most versatile camera. And by Motegi Racing, fueled by innovation. We expected big things out of Volkswagen Rallycross DC this weekend, and our supercar drivers did not disappoint.
No, they did a great job. Sandel
Isn't a very exciting moment for Patrick. Your first win ever in the history of Global Rallycross. How would you describe the emotions you feel right now?
Like, I was trying to do every lap, just try to focus, go same lines, not doing any mistakes. And then when I crossed the finish line, I was so extremely happy. It's unbelievable. The team have done a perfect job, and my Cobalt Fiesta is insanely good.
Nelson was definitely giving you a lot of pressure out there. How were you able to keep him off of you?
I had my spotter, Andreas, did a really good job. He helped me to push when I should push and go steady when I should go steady. So thank the team, they did a fantastic job.
Well, it really is. It's good when you have a spotter like Andreas looking out for you, but look at what this race has done to the points.
An amazing jump in points for PK Jr., now just 1 point south of Scott Speed. Steve Arpin solidly into third, tied with Patrick Sandel, and Johnny Wieman moves into the top 5.
So obviously that challenge Speed had earlier on the weekend, trying to get the car ready, did cost him. Nelson PK Jr., though, looking really good, really fast here.
And this is the best part in racing. Little champagne love there on stage. Having the drink, nothing sweeter than that. You can see Sandel so happy for his team. Those guys have worked really hard to start the year.
And again, just talking about third place, Johnny Wieman, he was the lights champion last year. He jumped into the supercars, and what a great move that was for him.
Nice to see opportunity for really talented young guys coming up through GRC, and also a spot for a driver like PK Jr. to come out of Formula One and land on his feet here in GRC.
So absolutely great racing here from DC. Next, we're going to roll into the Big Apple, New York. Today, a Women's U.S. Open champion will be crowned at Pinehurst. Final round coverage of the U.S. Women's Open is coming up next, right here on NBC. That was Red Bull Global Rallycross. For Townsend Bell, Kristen Kenny, this is Tess Sewell saying we'll see you next time.